Hey everybody, and today we're going to go over how you make custom bass drops using Sub Destroyer by JST. Let's take a look. Welcome back. So as I mentioned before, we are going to look at making a bass drop in, well, I'm in Pro Tools, but you can do this for any DAW as far as I'm concerned, but making a custom bass drop using JST Sub Destroyer. Now, I have a demo of a song. There's no bass track on this, so it's going to sound a little funny, but it's not really needed in this particular case. So this right here, this bass drop is a sorry about that. This bass drop is a custom-made bass drop using JST, and I'm going to show you how I made it. And this is how it sounds here at this breakdown part. So obviously it's loud, but that aside, I'm going to show you how I made it. So first thing we need to do is create two tracks, and if you're on a Mac, that is Shift Command N, and for some reason, there we go. All right, so I want my bass drop in mono, so we have an audio track. Bam, sweet. Now we're also going to make a mono aux track. Now, why an aux track and not a MIDI track? Well, I'm going to be completely honest. I like the human element of telling it to trigger. So here we're going to label this bass drop trigger, and then we're going to just call this, since I already have a track that's named bass drop, we'll just call it drop. And what I'm going to do here is bus route it through bus channel 7 because it's just a random channel. And now we're set up. Next thing we need to do is go to our plugin menu, find JST here. I believe it's under instrument track for here, but here under JST, it'll be Sub Destroyer. So we open it up. So this is what it looks like. You have your automation, you can fire, hold, sine wave, sine, saw, square, buzz, or excuse me, sine, triangle, square, and saw wave to choose from. But the function that we're going to need, we have automate, trigger, MIDI, and output. The functions that we're going to be using primarily for this are trigger and output. Now, you don't need to necessarily have your bass drop be in the same key as your song. However, I prefer it just because it adds a little extra impact. So we're going to go from A sharp to A sharp. So we have right here 29 hertz is our end frequency, which is A sharp, and our starting frequency is just double that, 58, and it's going to sound a little something like this. Not super exciting right now. Typically, I would go through, find a decent length. Usually, I'm sitting around 1284 for my long bass drops. So there, that's the premise of it. You see we're clipping, no problem. Just pull the output down. Odds are you're going to clip when using this because the plugin runs pretty hot, but it's a fantastic plugin. So we're going to go ahead and clear that, save, and now we're not clipping. That's the idea. Now we're going to go to the output function and see this drive. I'm going to enable it, and it doesn't take much. Just a little bit of that and like 1 or 2 of the character and this difference. It's a little hard to hear, so now we're going to add harmonic enhancement and bring down the amount just a bit, and the crossover is pretty much fine where it's at. Now we're going to go and trigger it. Now it's got a little bit of grit. So we're going to drive it just a little bit more and pull down the harmonics just a little bit. Sweet. So that's where we're at. So how do we go about getting it from here to here? Well, record enable. And then typically I would have the click track going, and I think, do I have it on? I don't. So let me turn on the click track. And this is just to help with my accuracy so I'm not cutting and pasting a whole lot more. So here's how it's going to go down. Oh. I can't hear that click very well. That's the stock Pro Tools click. I prefer using this one. And I'm going to turn that up just a bit. Now I realize that over here it shows that the master output is clipping. I'm not super concerned about that right now because this is just a writing session. It's not a mixing session. It's not anything like actual recording. This is just sketched out ideas. And odds are the bass drops and any of the post effects will get moved over, but all the other stuff will eventually be retracked. On a quick note, drums are printed down from the Get Good Modern and Massive pack. I believe if it's not the Modern and Massive, it's the Invasion, but I'm pretty sure it's the Modern and Massive. Guitars are scratched left and right. They're both Archetype Nolly, and then I do have some leads in here that are, I want to say, Ben Bruce or Menace by JST. And then there's a clean guitar as well somewhere right here. That is Toneforge Misha Mansour. Those are frozen, so I'm getting the sound. The drum tracks are frozen as well, so I'm getting the sound that I want from the plugin, and it's just frozen there, so the plugins aren't being used. This is like bouncing, but without bouncing. Anyways, back to the topic at hand. I'm going to go ahead and mute the current bass drop that we have in there, and now we have a click. So now you're going to need to open this up, and you're going to hit record, and then as best as you can, try to get it right where you want it. So it'll be something like this. Now that bass drop looks kind of funny, and I agree, that does look quite funny. And to be honest, it's totally cool if you. We're gonna go ahead and try that again. It's totally cool if you don't back off the output and instead adjust the input gain or just the volume. I haven't had any issues with the bass drop being a major player and triggering because I turn it down. It's not the most prevalent thing in the mix, as it won't be with most things. So yeah, let's try that again. Okay. So we're gonna pull that back, pull the drive up a little bit more, and move down on the harmonic enhancement. In fact, let's turn off the harmonic enhancement. A lot of this is trial and error. So let's try again. Now that's better. As you can see up here, my bass drop is a little bit longer. For the purposes of this video, I'm not going to try to match that. This is just I can try. Normally I would go and make a few different length bass drops, but from here, click that off, and you want to try to get it right where it drops. Now I'm pretty freaking close. But what I'm going to do is you can either go to slip or you can go to grid and hold command and drag this into place and then drop it, just like I did. But what you want to do is, and I'll make this window a little bit bigger, you want to try to get it as close to here as you possibly can. Otherwise, it's going to sound super flubby. The bass drop won't have near the impact, and you don't want that. So sometimes I'll zoom in this far, and then there you have it. If we're on grid here, which I am, you'll then just take that, and then to lock this take into place, so you can copy and paste it if you're not going to use different velocity bass drops and you're just going to do volume automation with it. You will hit Option, Shift, and 3, and that consolidated the clip. So now it's not going to move any further that way, and it won't move any further that way. And that, in context, and there you have it. That is how you make a bass drop. Now, another note, you'll see that I have a boom boom track right here. This is an explosion that I have help pushing the bass drop. You don't necessarily need an explosion for this. It's just something I'm trying, but just so you can get an idea of what it actually sounds like with the bass drop that I originally made. With this boom boom track, it's turned down lower than the bass drop, obviously. And all it does is it just helps push the bass drop a little bit more. So take a listen to that. And without, just jump up here. It's an effect swell, and then without the bass drop and just the explosion. Sorry. Doesn't really do a whole lot, the explosion by itself, because I have it turned down so low. But with the bass drop together, helps the impact of that bass drop. So that's something for you to try if you wish. If you like this video, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the bell button on the subscribe to get notified when I post new videos, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.